But as India grows economically and modernizes, interior designing is also going through its own evolution driven by new sensibilities and technology. Mumbai-based interior design startup Flip Spaces has recently raised $4 million in its pre-Series B funding round. It designs interiors and builds projects for commercial spaces in India and the US, and will use its latest funding round to expand its operations on the west coast of the US and strengthen its technology. Let's find out more about the use of tech in disrupting interior designing. Joining us to talk about it with us, we have Kunal Sharma, founder and CEO of Flip Spaces. Welcome to India Ideas, Kunal. Tell us a little bit more about Flip Spaces and the tech it uses to come up with contemporary interiors and projects for commercial spaces, which are giving conventional firms a run for their money.
Thank you, Gautam. Thank you for having me on the show. So specifically to talk about the tech, Gautam's the target persona that we have across India and US constitutes close to about 65 million SMEs, which power close to about 2/3 of the workforce that go out and occupy different kind of private sector jobs. Right now, obviously, these enterprises work out of certain spaces, and the design and build journey of these spaces, obviously, because we're talking about SMEs, is both broken and fragmented. Right. So for us to target this particular client persona, we've created a 3-module integrated technology suite. At the core of the technology suite is the supply chain module that we call Viscart. Viscart in its own right is a deep price discovered set of products and services that go on to constitute creating the design and build of any kind of a space. Right? So that's module number 1. Module number 2 is how these products combine together to give you a real-time walkthrough of the space, because the design process as it exists right now in this particular category consists of softwares that are archaic, that are close to about 30 to 50 years old, and the design experience for the final consumer is completely broken. Right? So what we have created is a state-of-the-art virtual reality enabled real-time walkthrough, which actually integrates products from the supply chain, or through a process of supply chain integration. Right? So that's step number 2. Step number 3 is in any design and build mandate. Typically, we've seen that the entire exchange of information and data, and thus the tracking and reviewing of any design and build project, is completely asymmetric in terms of how the information is exchanged, right? And that's not a process that can be followed at a level of scale. Right? And that's why we've come up with a global first integrated ERP that we call Wisdom, which ties up the entire process of design and project management together. So right from supply chain integration to visualization to project management, it's a one of its kind suite that essentially creates for client delight.
Okay. And how easy or tough is it to transform what a client, him or her may have in his head to really using tech?
That's an interesting question. So for you to be able to transform the vision of the client into reality, right? It's very important to first understand what's going in the client's head and to be able to make that more tangible, right? And that's where the visualization software comes in, right? Because at the end of the day, you can't transform something into reality unless you actually have it as a tangible result in front of you, right? So what VisWalk as the virtual reality software does is that it brings a world of options in front of the client, allows them to walk through their space as if they would do in real life. It's almost like playing an online point of view video game like a Counter-Strike, right? Where you're walking through a space, right? And the client is walking through the space, their office space or their cafeteria space, this being a commercial space, of course, right? And while they're walking inside this space, within the realm of their laptop, they're able to walk through the space and change every product or finish real time from a market available set of options that they have, right? And this explodes the kind of options that clients have, and also puts the control of design right in the hands of the consumer, obviously aided by an interior designer who is supplied, in this case, by Flip Spaces.
All right. Now, reports say that India's online home decor segment alone is estimated to expand at a CAGR of 10.2% during 2021-26 to reach a size of $3.75 billion by 2026. Now, if you add commercial segment to it, the potential will be huge. So what sort of targets do you have in mind for Flip Spaces in terms of its revenue and profitability in the next 5 years?
For us at Flip Spaces, considering that we have an active presence in India and now more recently in the US as well, we look at the addressable market size, targeted as the at the SMEs as a combined market size across these two, market landscapes. For us, interior design combined with product supply and build management across these two markets, in fact, would be a much larger market size. Even if I err towards the cautious side, the market size would be in excess of $100 billion. And you would understand that in such a massive market, to specifically answer your question, in the next 5 years, we want to be $500 million in revenue. And we genuinely believe in having this revenue growth with a clear eye at profitability. In fact, Flip Spaces in its own category is one of the few ventures which is tech enabled, and we're looking to break even and become profitable in the quarter that's coming in.
Oh, wonderful. Sounds great. And any plans to get into the residential space as well?
Not really, because I think the kind of ticket sizes that we're able to command in the small and medium enterprise market today, right? Typically, that ticket size would be 10 to 15 times the ticket size of a standard apartment residential, while giving us a similar gross margin profile as a residential project. And the times of completion are almost always the same, right? So you'd understand that the return on effort in these cases, if you're doing a mid-size commercial project, which is an SME commercial project, in terms of its absolute value, the ticket size being higher, the return on investment, the return on effort deployed is far more. So to answer your question, for the $100 billion market that we're targeting, we would like to stick to this market and continue building tech and supply chain around it.
All right. Fair enough. Now, how is the competition within the online decor segment, and are you keeping track of what the offline businesses are also doing in this sector to ensure that they don't lose out and keep growing?
That's again a good question, because end of the day, look, interior design and build is not a blue ocean, market, right? Interior design has existed even before new age companies like us or new age ventures like us and some of the competitors came through, right? The issue with local interior designers and local architects is the problem of scale, right? So while there would be a lot of marquee architects and interior designers who are able to operate in local markets, they cannot go beyond a certain level of scale. And because of the lack of scale and process, at the end of the day, they are not able to give the customer, or make the customer enjoy the benefits of economies of scale, right? So I think the way forward for Flip Spaces is to continue consolidating, looking at a market share approach as far as this entire market is concerned. Obviously, as the market evolves, I believe the local players will also get evolved. But for us, we believe our right to win comes with the tech stack that we're building, which is completely focused at client delight, and with deepening and diversifying our supply chain ecosystem.
Okay, that sounds good. Sounds like a plan. Thanks a lot for joining us and talking about it today, Kunal, and all the best for the future as well.
Pleasure's mine. Thank you, Gautam.